Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and like and subscribe for more vitamin D next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Kotal Khan from Mortal Kombat, a sunny dude with a sunny disposition. Of course, when I say sunny, know that I mean a raging ball of fire that will eventually explode, destroying all life in the solar system. And you thought we'd be keeping it light. Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need that Sunny D with the power of the sun in the palm of our hands. Next, we need to get Jellicle by turning into a special pragmatical cat. Finally, let's drink the blood of our enemies and get the powers of a god, a shirtless god with killer abs. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just make sure you're keeping an eye on your multi-classing minimums. Political figures have to multitask pretty regularly. Strength will be number 1. If you're gonna saw through a human skeleton, you need some beefy arms. Wisdom after that, your animal handling is great because of basic empathy. You can turn into a jaguar, you know how a jaguar feels. Constitution next, any Mortal Kombat character with an exposed chest is flexing some serious durability, or they're not the brightest, but you worship the sun, you're literally bright. You also need to be figuratively bright, so grab intelligence next to understand the history of Outworld. There's a ton of lore in the game that generally boils down to put your enemies' insides on their outsides. Charisma is a bit low. We're actually going to beef it up with some racial bonuses, which makes sense. He ousted Melina through popularity, although she is a shark-faced murder woman, so I don't know that it was all that hard to be more well-liked. We're going to dump dexterity, we just need other stuff more, and you're not exactly the fastest fighter in the tournament. Kotal is an Osh Tech, a group of people who worship the sun and call it down to toast their enemies, so Scourge Aasimar is going to be my pick since you don't fly. That'll give you +2 charisma and +1 constitution, 60 feet of dark vision, the light cantrip for when you don't want to strain your eyes before nap time, celestial resistance to resist radiant and necrotic damage, and healing hands to restore an amount of HP as an action equal to your total level if you want to recharge like a big blue solar battery. Grab the soldier background for athletics and intimidation. You were a warrior before you were an emperor. I'm pretty sure Johnny Cage is the only person in the Mortal Kombat tournament who wasn't a soldier first. We'll kick things off as a barbarian, letting us grab 2 skills from the barbarian list like animal handling and survival, which will help you lead your people, but also help you make friends with cats. Who doesn't love cats? You also get unarmored defense, being your AC 10 plus your dexterity and constitution modifier when you're not wearing armor. At home, it might be a little bit better to get your dexterity a little bit higher and dump one of your soft stats. Low AC is a little bit brutal. You can make up for that with rage though, letting you resist bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. You have advantage on strength checks and saves. You also deal extra damage with your strength-based attacks for a minute. Call that a serrated sword, or is it more of a serrated club? Either way, it does extra damage when you smack people up with it. Second level barbarians get reckless attack, letting you make your attacks with advantage if you're okay giving your enemies advantage to hit you. Just get the super armor and smack them back, it's fine. You also get danger sense, giving you advantage on dexterity saving throws against spells and traps you can see, helping you make up for your dexterity score being pretty dang low. Third level is a big one for you. As a barbarian, you get to choose a primal path. Zealots truly open up the blinds and let that sunshine in. With Divine Fury, you can add a d6 plus half your barbarian level in radiant damage to the first attack you make per round while raging for extra damage. You might not get as many hits per combo as those ninjas, but 2 hits from you is like half a health bar. You're also a warrior of the gods, meaning if someone wants to resurrect you, they don't have to spend material components helping you come back for the next fight, so someone can strangle you with your own intestines again. Actually, that might be a bad thing. For another risky play, Radiant Consumption deals half your level in radiant damage to creatures within 10 feet of you, including yourself, and you can add your level in radiant damage to 1 attack per round for a minute. Taking the radiant damage is a little tough, but you resist it, so it's not as bad for you as it will be for the cowboy man. He's a cowboy. That's his deal. 4th level barbarians get an ability score improvement. Let's start getting our strength higher for bigger and better hits. Believe it or not, that's one of the best parts of being a barbarian. 5th level barbarians get to use those big hits more often thanks to extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action. The rage bonus damage applies to both, but Divine Fury only pops on the first one. It can be a little confusing, but you're still going to be ripping through the enemies like balsa. That's the weakest form of wood. I didn't know that, but now I do, and so do you. You also get fast movement, adding 10 feet to your movement speed when you're not wearing heavy armor for the speed of a jaguar. But what if you want more than just the speed of a jaguar? What if you really want to be a cat, a kitty cat, so you can dance, 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 and dance, dance, dance? For that, we need to jump over to Druid, which won't let you go full feral just yet. Instead, you get Druidic, a secret language only other cat people can understand. Here's a quick start for you. Beans or toes. You also can learn cantrips and spells. Guidance and resistance add a d4 to ability checks or saving throws respectively. Keep in mind, you can't give Emperor advice when you're raging. You're just a little bit too angry. It's okay. For your first level spells, Long Strider and Jump can carry over into Rage since they don't require your concentration, adding 10 feet to your movement speed and tripling your jump distance for godlike mobility. Fairy Fire creates a 20-foot cube of light, forcing a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside. Failing that, attacks are made against them with advantage and they can't turn invisible. It requires your concentration for a minute it, so you can't have this up while raging, but it could be useful if you're trying to help your whole army mess people up. Healing Word heals 1d4 plus your wisdom modifier as a bonus action to a creature within 60 feet of you to send a little healing sunlight their way. Second level druids get Wild Shape, letting you use an action to turn into a beast of challenge rating 1/4 or lower as an action for a number of hours equal to half your druid level, or until the beast runs out of HP. You keep your soft stats, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, but take on the physical stats, strength, dexterity, and constitution. What's really fun is that you can still rage while wild shaped since it's not a spell. That's what I call a grumpy cat. You also get to choose a druid circle, and the circle of stars works best for you because the sun is a star. You get a star map giving you the Guiding Bolt spell, a ranged spell attack that deals 4d6 radiant damage and gives the next creature to attack the target advantage on their roll. You can cast it an amount of times per day equal to proficiency bonus for free. After that, you just cast it with spell slots. Now, you can't cast this while you're raging, but if you'd rather be more of a laser fighter, you can choose that loadout instead. You've got some flexibility with this build. For an alternative to rage, Starry Form lets you choose what kind of constellation you want to draw power from. If you choose the Archer, you can use a bonus action to fire a ranged spell attack that deals 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier and damage. Just because it's a spell attack doesn't mean it's a spell though, so you can actually use this while raging. It's kind of weird. If you choose the Chalice, whenever you spend a spell slot to heal someone, you or someone within 30 feet of you also gains 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier in healing if you want to turn the room into a veritable greenhouse. Finally, the Dragon constellation means the lowest you can roll on an intelligence check, wisdom check, or concentration saving throw is a 10, followed by your modifier. Archer works best while raging, but if you want to be more of a consistently healing, undying fighter, Chalice is great, and if you're just doing politics stuff, use the Dragon to be a big smarty McWise pants. Third level druids can learn second level spells. Moonbeam is called Moonbeam, but light from the moon comes from the sun, so I'm counting it as a sunbeam, even though that's a different spell. It creates a 5-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder of light, forcing a constitution saving throw on creatures inside. Failing that, they take 2d10 radiant damage, half as much if they succeed. Use your impressive strength to grapple someone inside, and then just pummel them while ultraviolet light becomes ultraviolent light. For a sunbeam that does the exact opposite of this, Healing Spirit creates a 5-foot radius of healing. When you or a creature you like moves through it, they can heal 1d6 automatically, no reaction requirement for you or anything like that. It lasts for a minute depending on your concentration. You could grapple an enemy inside there to smack them up while you're healing. Fourth level druids get an ability score improvement, and remember all that grapple talk? Well, strength helps your grapple checks. I know some of you thought I was going to take the grappler feat, but it isn't very good until I build Zangief, which is coming soon, then forget I said that. Back over to Barbarian now. 6th level Zealots get Fanatical Focus, meaning that if you fail a saving throw while raging, you can burn some meter to re-roll it once per rage. Shrugging off deadly damage is a must in a Mortal Kombat tournament, otherwise they call it Tickle Combat, and that probably wouldn't sell as many copies. 7th level Barbarians get Feral Instinct, giving you advantage on initiative rolls. You'll probably still do bad because you have a -1, but this will make it slightly better. You also get Instinctive Pounce, letting you move up to half your speed when you activate your rage. If you have Long Strider up, that's 25 feet, help you dash in and get to sawing. 8th level Barbarians get another ability score improvement or a feat. Let's grab the Skill Expert feat, letting us add 1 to an ability score like Strength. You get Expertise to double your proficiency with a skill like Athletics, to have an insanely high grapple check, and another skill like History to remember the lore of Outworld. Considering I was really just taking this to cap off your strength score, you do get a lot more out of it. 9th level Barbarians get Brutal Critical, letting you add another damage die when you critically hit. I would probably call Aqua Hitla a great axe, mostly just because it uses a d12 and that makes Brutal Critical better. Sometimes I want to power build a little, don't judge me. 10th level Zealots get Zealous Presence, letting you use a bonus action to inspire up to 10 of your soldiers, giving them advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the start of your next turn. Get the whole Outworld army in on the fun once per long rest, at least. 11th level Barbarians get Relentless Rage, meaning the first time you should drop to 0 HP while raging, you can make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw to stay up at 1 HP instead. Every time you activate this, the DC goes up by 5, so you should be able to actually use it pretty regularly. 12th level Barbarians get another ability score improvement or feat. The Great Weapon Master feat lets you absolutely destroy people with a heavy weapon, subtracting 5 from your attack roll and letting you add 10 to the damage roll, and you can make another attack as a bonus action if you critically hit with your action. Another reason for you to hope for a lot of crits, other than, you know, it just being kind of fun to critically hit. 13th level Barbarians get another Brutal Critical die in case you really needed another reason to want to critically hit. That means your Axe Saw can deal 4d12 in a single critical hit, not to mention the possibility of extra damage from Divine Fury, Radiant Consumption, or Great Weapon Master. But big damage is only half the fun of being a barbarian. The other half is never dying. Speaking of that, 14th level Zealots get Rage Beyond Death, meaning if you hit 0 HP while you're raging, you don't stop fighting until the rage is over. That means you're a freak show who ain't going nowhere for 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes of playtime. Oh my god, that's a Bonesaw reference. And guess what your weapon is? A Bonesaw! I didn't even mean to do that. That's just natural talent right there. 15th level Barbarian barbarians get persistent rage, so your rage only ends early if you want it to. Normally, it can end early if you don't attack or take damage, but radiant consumption is a pretty solid way to keep that going until now, when you don't need it anymore. Our capstone is the 16th level of barbarian for 1 more ability score improvement. Use yours on constitution for 20 more HP and 1 more AC at this point. It's still pretty bad. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you can't die for 50 rounds. That's really good. You're also dealing a ton of damage with 2d12 plus 38 slashing damage and 1d6 plus 28 radiant damage per round, averaging around 81. That's assuming you don't critically hit, and add another 4d12 plus 19 slashing damage. Finally, before you start raging, you can hold people in a moonbeam or a healing spirit for more DOT or some HOT for you. HOT means healing over time, but you're also a hot dude. Check out that jawline. Dang. For weaknesses, 12 AC is pathetic. It's terrible. You're gonna get hit by everything. Low dexterity is also bad because of initiative rules, and it's also the most common saving throw in the game. Finally, you can't cast spells while you're raging, so this bard druid doesn't totally meld as well as something more focused on beasting out. But you're a beast who can't die for 50 rounds. If you can't carve through your enemies by then, I'm pretty sure they just can't die. Flex big, praise the sun, and lead Outworld to victory. Just keep your limits in mind. Just because you're playing Kotal Khan doesn't mean there aren't things that Kotal can't do. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.